I don't want to tell Justin Verlander when to go because of what he's accomplished. So if someone with more credence than me could do that instead, that would be great. Hello and welcome to Baseball Barbacast, the only baseball podcast in the world furious about the Milwaukee Brewers ruining our sport with their dominance. I'm Jake Mintz. That's Jordan Schusterman. And we were worried that the Los Angeles Dodgers and their big bags of money would take over the baseball world. And instead, the Milwaukee Brewers, their $37 in cash and as many summer shandies as you can shake a stick at, they're going to storm their way to the NL title.
Yeah, the Brewers are unamused by the Dodgers' hype as they went undefeated against these mighty Dodgers in the regular season. And that is going to be our first topic, our first of 4 sweeps on this Monday morning. How sweep it is.
Clean up, everybody, everywhere.
There is no shame in getting swept.
I never got swept.
You guys got swept.
So right before the All-Star break, the Brewers hosted the Dodgers in Milwaukee, and Jacob Misiorowski effectively pitched his way into the All-Star game with a sensational start, and the Brewers took all 3 games at home. And it was like, impressive performance from a scrappy bunch of average Joes, as they have been calling themselves. But this performance in LA on the road coming out of the break was even more impressive.
Yeah, and we'll go game by game here, but we have a lot of Brewers thoughts. I know we touched on it a little bit last week, but because, we didn't get, full room to kind of ruminate on this Brew Crew, let's really get into it now. Let's go to Friday, and we begin with Quinn Priester. Quinn Priester! If you've seen that video of us rapping the name Quinn Priester at a podium, I don't feel like explaining it right now, but we're going to keep on sharing it, especially if he keeps pitching the way that he does. 6 scoreless innings, 10 strikeouts, put Quinn Priester in the All-Star game. Maybe that Jacob Misiorowski performance wasn't as impressive as we thought if this Dodgers offense downright stinks. On offense for Milwaukee, we have Caleb Durbin. Oh my gosh, I have a feeling Jake has some Caleb Durbin thoughts. He drives in both runs on Friday. Tyler Glasnow was actually pretty good in this game, which was nice to see for the Dodgers, but the Dodgers offense was asleep. Brewers win 2-0 on Friday. On Saturday,
Can I hop in?
Shohei Ohtani.
Here?
Oh yeah, please.
Quickly,
please, go ahead.
I'll give a Durbin thought and a Glasnow thought. So Glasnow's stuff is just unreal. But once a plate appearance, he throws a non-competitive pitch. Like absolutely nowhere near the strike zone. It could be a fastball up and away. It could be a curveball that he throws 48 feet. It could be a slider in the opposite dugout. Like he hit the gap between Tyler Glasnow's craft of pitching and his raw stuff just infuriates me to no end. Do you know what I mean? Like, it makes me feel like an old head grump where I'm like, this guy doesn't even, he's just out there rearing back and throwing the ball as hard as he can.
So it's funny you mention that because Glasnow came up in a conversation I was having with someone recently in relation to Misiorowski. Because Jacob Misiorowski is also tall and has ridiculous extension. He's tall and is getting down the mound, and he's throwing 100, and he has this ridiculous off-speed stuff. And before, a few weeks ago, he wasn't throwing a whole lot of strikes. But there's something about Misiorowski, obviously, his stuff right now. This is the part where I'm going to give Glasnow at least a modicum of grace as he is working his way back from injury and is clearly still not at his sharpest. But to your point, this also still happens when Glasnow is at his best. And when he's not at his best, we're seeing it even more often. So I think that is very fair. But what about Durbin? I know this I mean, former podcast guest, friend of the show in every sense, Wash U legend. He has gone from good story to good player very, very, very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, he's like a 3-win player. The swing he had in this game off of Tyler Glasnow, I believe, it might have been off of Kirby Yates, on a fastball
the
up
homer
and
was
away.
off Yates. Yeah.
He had a double off of Glasnow and a homer off Yates. Fastball like up and away and hit it just out to dead center of Dodger Stadium. And it was like, I thought this was a cute little utility infielder who, put the bat on the ball and ran around a little bit. And him going, 410 to straightaway center was just not something I knew was in his bag. And what are we dealing with here? We're dealing with an icon, a hero, and every time Caleb Durbin is every time he's on the field, I'm just texting all the people I know, hey, Caleb Durbin is playing outrageously well. I will say MLB TV's Twitter account, they have one for some reason, tweeted this the other day. This was sent to me by a buddy. Caleb Durbin and the Brewers go for the sweep in LA as Shohei Ohtani and the Dodgers try to get back on track. And there's a graphic of Ohtani and Caleb Durbin just doing baseball stuff in the graphic. And it's this superhuman two-way superstar who is the most famous person in Japan and maybe a top 15 famous athlete in the world. And Caleb Durbin, who I don't believe was first team all Central Region D3 2021.
No, didn't hit enough homers, but he's hitting homers now, and how he's doing it is remarkable. But yeah, it's been about 6 weeks where he's been a well above average hitter, and just part of the Brewers magic. All right, so that's Friday. Let's go to Saturday. We have Freddie Peralta on the mound, and we have Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani, he's got a couple of these every season where he hits a homer that if a right-handed hitter hit it and pulled it, you'd be like, oh my God, that was absolutely crushed. And this one that he hit off Peralta, I mean, it was really center field, but just to the left of center field, so far up the bleachers, was so ridiculous. Unfortunately, the Dodgers pitching was so bad in this one. I believe this was Emmett Sheehan was struggling. Every single Brewers starter, which is all 9 of them, they didn't even have any subs. Every Brewers player gets at least one hit. And while they do have a couple late homers from Rojas and Edman for the Dodgers, that was not enough as the Brewers hang on and win that one on Saturday, 8-7. Let's go to Sunday, because Sunday was a lot more dramatic and gave us a lot more to talk about. Sunday, we have Mookie Betts batting leadoff. So Mookie is another interesting main character of this Dodgers skid because he's having the worst offensive season of his career by far. But we have Clayton Kershaw on the hill, and he did not get any help from his defense. Now, it's, Clayton Kershaw, it's not like he was striking everybody out, but the defense was not really helping him. So it's a close game in the middle innings. We got another Ohtani homer, 34th. We got Esteury Ruiz, who's on the Dodgers now, apparently. Brewers icon Esteury Ruiz hits his first homer of the season, but the Brewers managed to conjure up some runs late in very Brewers fashion. They only had one extra base hit on the afternoon, and the Dodgers rally at the very end of the game, which included a near disaster from Andrew Vaughn. Joey Ortiz almost hit, by the way, as bad as he's been offensively, his defense this year has been unreal.
Awesome.
And he almost made this amazing play to end the game, but Andrew Vaughn just straight up dropped the ball. That appeared to set up Mookie Betts the opportunity to play hero. Instead, he lines out to center field to end the game, and the Brewers win 6-5, sweeping the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium. W10 for the Brewers. They are tied with the Cubs atop the NL Central, and we had a bunch of wonderful quotes and just kind of takeaways from this series, especially that final game. So where would you like to begin?
I would like to begin with the Dodgers. They kind of stunk this weekend in multiple facets of the game. Freddie got hit on the wrist on Sunday. Mookie's struggles feel pretty concerning to me. We've talked about this so much, trying to pick through this Dodgers season when they struggle. What is real? What is meaningful? What is small sample size theater? What is Fugazi? I still struggle with that. Do I think the Dodgers are not going to make the playoffs because the Brewers beat them 3 times in middle of July? No, I don't. But the Mookie stuff, every week that it continues, I think it gets more and more concerning. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and you can kind of cling to the things that he's still doing well, which is, of course, playing a good shortstop. He's not striking out. He's not swinging and missing. But even though it sounds like Fabian Ardai of The Athletic wrote about Mookie's struggles over the weekend before they moved him to the leadoff spot after Friday's game, and you know, Mookie, he's not blaming his sickness. Like, he's put the weight back on. It's not like he's still rolling out there at 160 pounds. He feels like he's healthy. He's tried to work through a lot of these different things, and yet the results are just not there. There is just no juice in that bat. And so even though he is making a lot of contact, it is just not the kind of contact that we're used to seeing from him. So it is pretty concerning. I think putting it all on Mookie is a little bit unfair. Obviously, he's the one hitting at the top of the lineup, but there are a lot of other hitters in this lineup, especially with Muncy out, that are not necessarily keeping this lineup moving. So I don't know, man. It is quite a departure, though. I mean, we've never seen Mookie healthy and playing this poorly. It is, or at least offensively, it is that simple.
Well, the Dodgers' intimidation factor stemmed from an unbelievable top three and a very, very impressive top six, right? The top three being Ohtani, Betts, Freeman. Ohtani still Ohtani. Freddie and Mookie have been bad now for 2 months. Mookie has an OPS that starts with a 6, which is not what you're expecting from the future Hall of Famer at the top of the lineup. But once you go past that top three and you go to Will Smith, Teoscar Hernandez, Max Muncy, Will Smith has been one of the best hitters in the world this year, but Muncy is out and Teoscar has been bad for a month and a half. And so this is not an offense that can single-handedly win games in the way that it could for the first 2 months of the season when the Dodgers were rolling out me and you to suck up innings as they tried to get their pitching healthy. And so that's why I think they've hit the schneid. Enough of the Dodgers. Let's throw some love onto the Milwaukee Brewers, who, what a fascinating team. So I have some assorted Brewers stats here. They are 30th in baseball. They're dead last in average exit velocity, 27th in hard hit rate, 28th in optimal launch angle percentage, 27th in barrel rate, 26th in isolated slugging, and have the second highest ground ball rate in baseball, which is usually not what you want. All of those stats together, you'd be like, this offense stinks. And it very much doesn't. Now, here's what they do well. 3rd in chase, meaning they chase the 3rd fewest. 6th in contact. 2nd lowest swing rate overall, which I find very interesting, right? They're seeing a lot of pitches. They're working deep counts. They're getting starters out of the game. They're stealing a ton. And then, most importantly, they are 1st in the league in bunts.
Just all bunts. So just is that
all
sack bunts or all any bunts? I know Durbin had another bunt hit on Sunday, so he's contributing to that total. Yeah, those stats are awesome. Here's another one. I was gonna break this one out later, but might as well do it now. You're also just trying to figure out, like, how are they doing this? So they are 3rd in starting pitching ERA. All right, but they are last in starts by their starters of at least 7 innings. They have only 3 starts all year where their starters have gone 7 innings. So now, if you look, it's not like, obviously their bullpen has been pretty good, although their bullpen is 17th in ERA, which is even more confounding. It's like, all right, well, if you're leaning on your bullpen that much, how are you that good? I don't know, man. And then here's the other thing. So defense is another big part of it. Defense is good. We know 2nd in stolen bases. I don't know if you mentioned that one. But the Brewers are defying my ultimate mantra about baseball in a pretty epic way, right? I mean, what do I always say? I say this every year, and this year really feels as more appropriate as ever, which is that all the players are good and all the teams are bad. However, the Brewers, I don't know how many of their players are good, but this team is good. This is a good team. This is a team where I'm like, I don't know why, but that's a good team. That's a good baseball team. I mean, you look at some of these other teams at the top of the standings, like the Cubs, right? I mean, they have a lot of really good players. Are they that good of a team? I know. I just ranked them number 1 in the power rankings going into the weekend, and we'll get to the Cubs here in a little bit with their series win over the Red Sox. But the Brewers are incredible. We got to give the Pat Murphy quote some love. I understand that he's recycled this line before, but I know a lot of people still haven't heard it, so I just want to read this from Murph, their manager. Quote: "It's a bunch of guys that nobody has ever heard of. Like I said, no disrespect to the great fans of Japan baseball, but they can't name 5 players in our lineup." Okay. So first of all, this is a little bit of ridiculous Murphism that we'll call it. Um, he wouldn't be saying this if they didn't just play the Dodgers, right? That's why he's not just like going out of his way to be like fans of Japanese baseball don't know our team. But this is kind of amazing to embrace this level of nobody knows who we are is kind of unique in some some respects. It's not like we're not getting the respect. Like he's literally saying over and over, nobody has heard of us, and he's loving it.
And it's not being derived from this recent hot stretch, because I was in the room on the second day of the season when Nestor Cortez Jr. was given a swirly and the torpedo bat mania began, when in Murph's post-game chat, people kept asking him about Nestor getting crushed, and he was like, oh, and he's, Nestor, he's a good guy, like we're excited to have him, whatever. And then Murph kind of not breaks, but kind of cracks a little bit and goes, Brewers are a good team. We've won a lot of games over the last couple of years, and you folks can't name 5 players on our squad. This is to the media, right? This is to the reporters in his office. And one of the reporters, I'm not going to say exactly who, goes, I can name 5. And in that moment, like one of the New York-based guys, in that moment, everyone else in the room just is like, oh no. And Murph goes, who's number 35? Who's number 6? Now, and because this dude who said he can name 5 meant like Christian Yelich, like William Contreras, etc., and not ripping Isaac Collins's number directly from his name, he was a little bit stumped. I will say Murph using number 35 Elvin Rodriguez as one of the guys to quiz on was kind of outrageous, considering I think Elvin Rodriguez is no longer even on the team. He's on the Orioles now. But my point is that Murph is the central character of this squad in a very unique way, in a way that reminds me of either English Premier League, European soccer, where he is trying to be the center of attention so that the players are not the center of attention. And then obviously in a college baseball manner, like Murph's origins are college baseball. He was the head man at Notre Dame and at Arizona State for a long time. And he has this team playing like the best college baseball team of all time, right? There are these bits and pieces of players that work in certain spots, and everyone's playing above their shoes, and he's got everyone running through a wall. And whereas most managers from a messaging perspective would say, you're not getting enough credit, what Murph is saying is, we are a ragtag group of misfit parts. We are the rejects. We do stink physically. Like, we are not up to snuff compared to the mighty Dodgers, but we're going to beat them anyway. And I think that that is a very easy thing as a fan to latch onto. And I am excited for the fans of Milwaukee who get to hop on this thrill ride. Now, how good is this team in the long run? Can they up the Cubs in the division? Can they make a run in the playoffs for the first time since 2018? We'll see, right? I think having Peralta, Mizorowski going 1-2 is a pretty good start.
Yeah, and that's really my last big picture thought about the Brewers, because we did do a version of this last year, but this is why I wanted to make this point somewhat in jest about, like, how I say all the players are good and all the teams are bad, and how this is a team where they're a good team. I don't know how good the players are. Last year, when we were having sort of similar conversations about how the Brewers are doing this, they had Willy Adames, who was a shortstop with 30 homers. They had Jackson Chourio, who was one of the best players in baseball in the second half. They had William Contreras, who was a top 3 catcher in the sport, if not top 2 catcher in the sport last year. And they had Christian Yelich with a fifth MVP. They had Christian Yelich with a 150 OPS plus, right? So that was enough, even though the rest of it was still kind of like hodgepodge. That was enough star power to where you could understand why that was a division winner. Now, I know a lot of those players are still here, but they're not performing like that. And so on one hand, you could say, well, that's the upside, because if these guys heat up, now we are talking about clearly one of the best teams in baseball. But the fact that they have amassed already almost one of the best teams in baseball, or one of the best records in baseball, with this assortment of statistics, as you so wonderfully laid out, it's astounding. And that is why they deserve all the credit in the world. As for the Dodgers, Clayton Kershaw being salty afterwards and saying he doesn't want to talk about anything because he's going to say something that gets him in trouble. I mean, yeah, the Dodgers are not used to going through issues like this. Kershaw, who, amazing that he's even in this position to be like part of the rotation and having ups and downs and like dealing with this stuff, like, is all still a huge win, but it is quite the reality check after Kershaw's nice week in Atlanta where he was goofing off on the mic'd up, and now he's pissed because his team can't field a fly ball behind him. So it's a nice little bit of whiplash for Kershaw. But are we that worried about the Dodgers? A little bit. They're still 3.5 up on the Padres. We will see how they bounce back this week. They have the Twins coming to town.
And the Brewers head to Seattle for 3 this week. That'll be very fun. I'm now going to just quickly mention George Webb and his hamburgers. So there is a diner chain in Wisconsin named George Webb Restaurant. I have never dined at a George Webb. I do not believe you have either, Jordan.
No.
Okay. There is a promotion that George Webb does where if the Brewers win 12 games in a row, everyone gets free hamburgers. It has only happened twice, I believe, maybe 3 times in franchise history. But if the Brewers win 2 more games, they're at W10. If they win 2 more games, free hamburgers at all participating George Webb locations.
Brewers fans, I know these are going to be a little bit later starts for you, but Brandon Woodruff versus George Kirby, and then Logan Gilbert versus Jacob Mizorowski. Oh, those are some spicy matchups. So that's what it's going to take for the Brew Crew to extend it to 12. We will see if they can do it. All right, Jake, we have 3 more sweeps. Let's go back north of the border where these Blue Jays keep on winning, and this man, Justin Verlander, keeps on losing.
You were so excited about this. Verlander coming off a rest over the All-Star break, looking for the first win of his season. Ups and downs, mostly downs. He's only still pitching because he wants 300 wins and, $15 million. He rolls out there against the Jays and allows 9 hits and 2 2/3. Blue Jays win 4-0. Takes the L. He still does not have a win this season. It is a remarkable thing. Has he been the worst pitcher in the world? No. Has he been good? No. Is it time to maybe, invest in a timeshare? Is it time to say goodbye? I don't want to tell Justin Verlander when to go because of what he's accomplished. So if someone with more credence than me could do that instead, that would be great.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing I'll say about Verlander, and honestly probably the Giants before we focus on the Blue Jays, is just like, I guess he'll keep his rotation spot, but like, I don't know. That could be an uncomfortable conversation that has to come at some point if the Giants have better alternatives, but he's going to keep going out there, and he is, in all likelihood, going to keep losing. I think his next start will either be against the Braves or the Mets. But let's get back to the Blue Jays because they shut him out on Friday. On Saturday, this is how you know things are going well in Toronto. Eric Lauer outduels Logan Webb. 2 Willy Adames homers, not enough for the Giants. 14 hits for the Blue Jays, including a Tyler Heineman homer. Blue Jays win 6-3. And then on Sunday, Robbie Ray's return to Toronto does not go very well. Jose Barrios was not awesome, but it doesn't matter because the Jays are raking right now. We get homers from Vlad Barger and Springer, and they win 8-6. Wow, Blue Jays sweep again. They are 10-0 in their last 10 games at home. They mopped the Yankees, swept the Angels, and now sweep the Giants. And now they have the Yankees coming back into town for 3 more this week. So yeah, I mean, Jays, were they 3 up, 3.5 up? They're just feeling good, man. These Bluebirds are fun to watch.
One of the more embarrassing moments, one of the worst misplays in the history of Sunday morning Roku leadoff in this game. Game tied at 1, runners on first and second, 2 outs, I believe in the 3rd inning. Line drive to left field, and Elliot Ramos, who is one of the worst defensive players in baseball, any position, runs in, and then the ball goes flying over his head, and that was kind of the moment that broke things open here. First step's what, Jordan?
First step back. First step
step back.
I'm not a baseball coach like you, but I feel like I know that one. Giants on an L5. They are 52-48. It feels like they've been playing terribly for a while now, and the fact that they're still 4 games over, I guess, speaks to how well they were playing to start the season. But anyway, they are 2.5 games behind San Diego for that third wild card spot. Yeah.
Are we ready to have a conversation yet about how, okay, so it's been a little over a month since they acquired Rafael Devers, and in
Not
the
going
time
great.
since, they are 11-17.
Yeah. Craig Breslow was right. He's a losing player. I believe that Rafael
They
Devers
have the
is going
fourth worst WRC plus over that time.
Here's my
with Devers.
prediction. Rafael Devers is going to catch fire, and it's not going to matter, and the Giants are going to be like 500 again, because that is where they belong. It doesn't matter who's in charge.
Their destiny.
Buster
Their dharma.
Posey cannot escape. Anyway, Toronto, if you keep whooping on the Yankees, we will definitely talk about you more later this week. Let's go to the desert. Arizona Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks Cardinals. This is a good matchup of like, all right, we going to get some clarity, or is one of these teams going to be a seller finally? Come on,
this
please.
reminds me
yeah,
of that scene in The Dark Knight where they snap the pool cue in half and says, we're doing tryouts to join the evil gang. Only one of you can survive. And it's just like a fight for survival, not necessarily to win, right? The winner of this series does not win, but we did learn something here as the Diamondbacks just whooped up on the Cardinals.
they did. However, the problem is that where they began this series in the standings means that we have even less clarity, right? Had the Cardinals swept the D-backs, then it's like, all right, Cardinals are kind of in it. D-backs, it's time. It's over. That's a wrap. You just got swept at home. It's time to sell. Answer those phone calls, Mike Hazen. It is time to trade all of your expiring contracts. And instead, even despite the standings, like the whole time I've believed the D-backs are a better team than the Cardinals. And it certainly looked that way this weekend. Brandon Pfaadt was marvelous on Friday. We have 2 Eugenio Suarez homers on Saturday and on Sunday. He's up to 35 home runs this season. We get a big Corbin Carroll game on Saturday. Yeah, they crushed them. 7-3, 10-1, 5-3. Arizona is back at 500 at exactly 50-50, but they're still 4.5 back of that third and a wild card with 3 teams still in front of them. Cardinals are still above 500, but they are not playing super well recently. Again, both of these teams we're going to continue to watch. Maybe this series helps clarify some things. I just love how honest Mike Hazen has been throughout this whole thing, because he's going to every interview. He's like, look, man, like I would love for this to be more obvious for all of us. Like I wish that we could, make it harder for like he understands that they're the team that everyone is watching. He gets it. And he knows that there's going to be a time when he's going to have to make a decision about the direction here, but he also wants to be a buyer, but he's also not stupid. So I still feel like this ends up with them trading a bunch of these guys, but there's still just enough time for there to play their way back in it, and this was an important first step.
White Sox sweeping the Pirates. This is what bottom looks like, I think, for the 2025 Pirates. Bottom for the Pittsburgh Baseball Club. Fans are no stranger to rock bottom. This was really bad, though. We get a sell the team chance this weekend. It was Mac Miller bobblehead night, one of the biggest attendance figures of the year. This is via Noel Hiles, friend of the show, Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Pirates 3 sellout crowds this season. Home opener, Skeens bobblehead day, Mac Miller bobblehead day. All 3 games featured sell the team chance. The Pirates ownership group is my least favorite. I'll say it. I'll say it loud. I'll say it proud. They are 30 out of 30. They do not care. They do not want to invest. And as a result, you have a situation here where the Pittsburgh Pirates are getting swept at home by the Chicago White Sox, a team fresh off the worst season, arguably in baseball history. I'm not going to go beat by beat here. First sweep of the year for the Sox. Congratulations to them. 7th time that the Pirates have been swept this season, 3rd most behind the Rockies and the White Sox. What a disastrous weekend for Pittsburgh, and I guess a celebratory weekend for the White Sox.
Yeah, obviously, team in the White Sox situation, you're just going to have to hope that these young players get more playing time, and we kind of see who they're building around in 2026. Luis Robert finally playing better. I still think he's going to get traded. I don't know how much it's going to be for, but smells like a Padre to me. We will see if that actually ends up happening. But the Pirates are an absolute travesty. And remember, they had been barely won the first half finale. Otherwise, it would have been an L9 going into the break. But, I mean, as bad as it's been, they won 76 games each of the last 2 years. And this year, they're going to have to go on some kind of heater to get to 76 wins. And that is a depressing thought. On that inspiring note, we're going to take a break. When we return, talk about some of the other more notable series from around the league. We'll be right back.
And welcome back to Baseball Barbacast. Those were our sweeps, but now let's go around the league. Cubs taking 2 out of 3 over the White Sox in a battle of the ballparks built before Prohibition, I guess during Prohibition. Game 1 and Game 2 goes to the Cubs. Game 3 to the Red Sox. Jordan, take us through this while I look up the years of Prohibition.
Please do. Yes, Cubs over the Red Sox. We had, again, Red Sox W10 going into the break. Could they keep it going at Wrigley Field on Friday afternoon? No, they could not. Lucas Giolito had a tough one. Seiya Suzuki, the ultimate snub, hitting his 26th homer of the season. Then Shota Imanaga was marvelous on Saturday. Cubs hit 5 home runs, but Michael Busch, Kyle Tucker, PCA, Matt Shaw, and Ian Happ. Cubs win 6-0. Oh, here they go. Are they going for the sweep? Are the Cubs and Brewers both going to sweep? Nope. Because Garrett Crochet is one of the best pitchers on the planet. The Red Sox have won 8 of the last 9 Garrett Crochet starts, including Sunday. Cade Horton was very good for the Cubs, but not good enough as the Cubs bullpen, which has been better lately, allows 3 homers, including 2 to Wilyer Abreu. Main takeaway from this one is Cubs still rake, obviously. And the Red Sox are, I mean, this was a nice little okay, let's see what you got here. You know, you're feeling yourselves a little bit, you know, with that W10 going into the break. Let's see what you got against a Cubs team that, by the way, funniest Cubs thing was I put the number 1 in my power rankings to start the second half. And really, it was just like, I am so tired of putting the Dodgers at number 1, which I'm glad I didn't put the Dodgers. Maybe I had the Brewers a little bit too low at 5 or 6. That's fine. Glad I didn't do the Dodgers. But it was so funny that the same Cubs fans that were mad at me about Seiya Suzuki not being on my all snub team were also mad at me about putting the Cubs at 1 because they're like, we're not number 1. What are you talking about? I'm like, what do you want? Do you want me to compliment your team or not? So I don't know. I think the Cubs are pretty good. They do have the best run differential in the sport. They do have what I believe to be the best lineup in the sport. And we saw versions of that on over the weekend. But Garrett Crochet is quite the cheat code that the Red Sox have every 5th day, which is nice for them.
Garrett Crochet is what the Cubs don't have. What the Cubs are going to try and go get a worse version of at the deadline.
Much worse version.
Crochet,
I don't know who's...
much worse. Like Crochet is a top 4 pitcher in the world. We've talked about this. And this is a reminder of why you go and you get that guy. Because there are not many of those players. And Garrett Crochet can stop a Schneid. There was a great Alex Bregman quote about this, I think. Like, he can stop a Schneid. He can get you going. He can anchor a weekend. Like, there's so many different things that having that type of automatic win can do in the momentum trajectory of a season, of a month, of a week. And I think for the Cubs, even though they won the series, there has to be like a part of them where Garrett Crochet like came in and shoved it, where they're like, maybe we should have also gotten a pitcher. Like, I know they went out and did a big move and went and got Kyle Tucker, and they deserve a lot of credit for that. But this is a team that's still 1 pitcher short. And I think you can make the argument that even if they had Justin Steele and Imanaga healthy all year, they still probably needed 1 more guy at the front end. With those 2 guys hurt, they definitely need another one. By the way, nailed Prohibition, 1920 to 1933.
You got that.
So There you go.
Good job. I'm glad I wouldn't want you misinforming folks. One other thing on the Cubs, and then we'll move to Yankees Braves, is just to wrap up kind of NL Central thoughts here. They go to Milwaukee for 3 games in the 3 days leading up to the trade deadline. And then mark this on your calendars, folks. We've got a 5-game set in the middle of August at Wrigley because of a rainout earlier this year. So 5 games. That's way more than an opportunity. 5 ball games, August 18th to the 21st. That is going to be something. So prepare accordingly. Those games are going to be fantastic. All right, let's go back to Atlanta where we just were. Did the Yankees All-Stars leave Atlanta and come back? I don't know. Probably.
How much they had? 4? They had 4 All-Stars in the coaching staff, right? So I'll say Jazz left. I'll say Fried definitely stayed. I'll say Judge definitely left because he was gone at the end of the game. And I'll say that Carlos left.
Yeah, I think Carlos probably left.
Right?
We can find out. I don't know. But anyway, Carlos did not pitch in this series. What happened in this series? Well, it was immediately an unfortunate start for the Yankees because Cam Schlittler, the rookie who we didn't really talk about, but my goodness, was he throwing hard in his major league debut before the break. He was supposed to start, but he got scratched with right bicep discomfort. So Ian Hamilton ends up being the opener, and that does not go well. Ian Hamilton versus Spencer Strider did not work out for the New York Yankees. Strider goes 6 scoreless. Albies homers. Braves win 7-3. But the highlight from this one, holy crap. Holy crap. I mean, we could just do a whole pot on this throw.
The best throw of the season. Ronald Acuna Jr. uncorks one for the ages. You have Cody Bellinger up at the plate. Yorbeat Vivas is on second base. Bellinger lofts one down the right field line, I would say about 8 feet from the foul pole diagonally into the field of play. Acuna catches this ball over his left shoulder. And as he catches it, he kind of spins around in a way that allows him to reorient his body towards the infield. And in one fluid motion, knowing that Yorbeat Vivas is going to tag up on a ball down the right field line from second to third, he spins around and flat-footed-ish, just rips one directly to third base in the path of Vivas, who does not slide. He is out. This is a top 5 throw in baseball history.
I mean, I don't know. It is certainly one of the best throws I've ever seen. I think what's so awesome about it is like because of the way that he catches it and because of how far into the corner that he is, there is a high percentage of right fielders that would do this exact move and throw to the cutoff man and just let the guy take third, right? Like that would have been a very normal thing for Acuna to do, is to turn around, throw it to the cutoff man, gets third, that's fine, we got the out, It is what it is. And instead, the ball just keeps going, and on not even a hop, not even a bounce. This is just an absolute not a rainbow, a laser beam to and what a deke by Nacho Alvarez also to make sure that Yorbeat thought that the ball was not coming.
So when do you think that Ronald decides he's going to throw to third directly? Is it before he catches it? Because the motion is so swift and so fluid, and he doesn't really even peek. Like it's not a quick movement. Like he's not popping his feet around. It's just one fluid movement, like he's throwing the ball back in. But he's not even looking at the play.
Well, and that's the thing is like normally if you're going to try and throw someone out, you're getting behind the ball so that you can kind of get your momentum towards where you're throwing it. And this is the opposite of that. And so to your point, I don't know, did he turn around Was he considering throwing it to the cutoff man? And then at some point in the middle of his throwing motion, realizes that Vivas is not anywhere near third base, and he's like, "Screw it! Like I'm just I'm just going for this." I don't know, man, but it is one of the best throws I've ever seen, and was maybe the highlight of the Braves season, other than the wonderful All-Star week that they attended. Because from this point forward, the Braves continue to remind us that this is not their year. And while they did build a 7-2 lead on Saturday, it did not last very long. As the Yankees come storming back, we get a couple Volpe homers. We get a massive grand slam from Trent Grisham off of Raisel Iglesias, who cannot stop allowing home runs. Oh my goodness. If you're going to trade for this guy, just know he's allowing a lot of home runs right now. It's not something you necessarily want to sign up for, but maybe he can fix that on another team. We've got Jazz and is yelling at one of the Braves coaches. There, he's yelling at him. It seemed to be a wonderful little baseball misunderstanding where Jazz thought that Eddie Perez was pointing at his head, saying, "We're gonna throw at your head." And Eddie Perez said afterwards, "No, I was telling you to think, to stop." I don't know why he was telling him to think. It seemed like he was upset that Jazz was giving signals from second base, which is again totally allowed. So I'm not really sure what he's telling him to not do or do. But anyway, this was all very silly. Did you have any thoughts on the Jazz? I mean, I'll just say Jazz's reaction to this, where he's kind of like shooing Eddie Perez away from third base, one of the great like reaction GIF videos of the season. Jazz is so funny. He is funny intentionally. He is funny unintentionally. This was great. I look forward to using this reaction all the time.
I'm still watching the Acuna throw and didn't listen to a single word you said. I'm going to be totally honest with you.
Valid. Super valid.
He threw it 301 feet.
Yeah. It's far. I can't do that.
Then the underrated thing I notice is after he throws him out, he pulls out he mimes a bazooka. It's amazing.
Which is better, right? You know, when our dear hero, you know, and set for this, when he threw guys out, you give him a little finger gun. Ronald's like, no, that is not quite powerful enough. We need to bring out the full bazooka. Anyway, I really
should
don't
have
actually
gone
want to
like,
talk about
put it on his shoulder and then just jumped backwards.
We don't have to talk about Jazz versus Eddie Perez. The point is the Yankees come back and win. And that was a big win for the Yankees because when they're down 7-2 after what had happened on Friday, it was like, oh my God, the Yankees stink. They come back, remind us what they are capable of. And then on Sunday, Marcus Stroman is good. Aaron Judge hits his 36th homer and the Yankees win 4-2. We got a good email from Eric about Judge homering in 32 different stadiums already in his career, all with one team, which is amazing because normally if you're going to have a fun fact like that, that's because you've played in 3 different divisions and bounced around the league. But Aaron Judge homering in 32 different stadiums, 32 because now he adds Truist Park. He's got London. He's got the Field of Dreams. He's got Dunedin when the Blue Jays were playing games down there. 4 stadiums left, active stadiums left that he has not homered in. Nats Park, Busch Stadium in St. Louis, Wrigley Field, and hilariously, the Steinbrenner. Obviously, Aaron Judge has hit home runs in Yankee spring training, but he has not yet hit a home run against the Rays in Tampa in the regular season. He will have an opportunity to do that, I believe, later this year, unless they have already played those games. But I think he'll have one more chance later this season.
Definitely listening to what you said because I'm still reading and watching Acuna do the throw.
Thank you.
Here's one quote. Acuna. This is from Mark Bowman at MLB.com. Quote: "I just always to try to anticipate those plays," Acuna said through a translator after the game. "I was just trying to get ready, and thankfully I have a good arm."
That part, thankfully, you do. Mean, that part is honest and humble. He's like, well, I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't have one of the best arms on the planet. Yeah, it's true.
Thankfully.
So true, Ronald. I appreciate that. It is good though, because like Ronald's defense is probably like these are going to be the Ronald defensive highlights now, right? We're not going to see him diving in the gap. We're not going to see him, ranging over. That's probably, I mean, maybe in the future when he's, years removed from his surgery and he's maybe moving a little better. He's not slow, but like these are going to be the highlights that we're going to see from him defensively. And that's fine with me. I'll watch Michael Harris range him down if I'm going to get to watch Ronald throw.
Yes. Great take. Ronald Acuna Jr. is an amazing baseball player. He is also a bad outfield defender from a range and catch perspective. Having a laser beam of an arm does not make up for that, nor should we criticize him because holy crap, he's fun in every other respect. But as a Braves fan, I'm sure for people who care about this team, having Michael Harris in center providing that level of entertainment is great because you get to watch Michael Harris run him down and you get to watch Acuna not run him down and then throw guys out on the bases. It's a perfect combo.
Braves fans, if you want us to talk positive about you anymore this season, you're going to need Ronald to keep making plays like this because otherwise, wow, not a good baseball team. And we'll see who they end up trading. At this point, I think Anthopoulos is going to have to accept reality and ship off some dudes, but we will see what that looks like. All right, one more series before we take a break that we wanted to highlight, and that is the Cincinnati Reds taking 2 out of 3 over the New York Mets and coming damn close to sweeping them. But would this put a damper on David Wright weekend? I would say a little bit, but I think that most Mets fans still had a good time celebrating a legend of their franchise. That is David Wright. I know you were unable to be in attendance on Saturday, Jake, but as someone who's been around the Mets a bunch, we were both there at David Wright's final game. We can talk about that a little bit. Reds, again, good series, but we're going to talk about David Wright here for a little bit before we take a break. So take it away, Jake Mintz. What thoughts do you have watching this ceremony and whatnot?
This was a great ceremony because of what David Wright represents, and where the Mets are now. So obviously the Mets have now reached this point in the Steve Cohen era where they are not a punchline, where they are a big boy baseball team doing big boy things, and they're not a joke. David Wright, for an era of modern Mets fandom, was the player that provided meaning, purpose year in, year out, even as the team was a little bit more of a roller coaster, both in terms of competence and in wins on the field. And to see David Wright emerge onto the field the other day with all the modern new Mets, Nimmo, Lindor, Pete, Soto, and knowing that he in a lot of ways laid the groundwork for that and endured what was a much messier time, much more tumultuous era in the franchise's history, and to see him get his flowers, I thought was really, really cool. Wright's story specifically, the amount of injuries he battled through to try and get his body back to be able to play. He was on a Hall of Fame path and his body just gave out. One thing I didn't like was on the internet was Yankees and Mets fans just crapping on Derek Jeter and David Wright going back and forth. I know that's just part of it. They're both great players, everyone. They're both good. I know you have to do this big brother, little brother thing. I think that if David Wright had played his whole career, not gotten hurt, he maybe would have more WAR than Derek Jeter, but he did get hurt and he doesn't. Also, that doesn't devalue what Wright accomplished. That also doesn't devalue what Jeter accomplished. You can have hot dogs for lunch and burgers for dinner.
Yeah, there's plenty of other times to make fun of the Mets, Yankees fans. I think you can.
You
let
got
them have
so
this.
much, dude. The most.
You can let them have David Wright, who, as you mentioned, he was the thing that you could kind of always count on, despite the team itself not being very good for most of the time that he was starring. But of course, that had nothing to do with him. So yeah, it is cool. It is, there is that twinge of man, what if he could have played more? What if he could have been healthier by the end when the Mets were in the world? And I know he did play, in 2015 in the 2015 World Series, but still, I think that there's still a level of wishing that it could have ended a little bit more gracefully, but still cool. And obviously, anytime you get to see a random collection of eras for one team on one field, wearing sport coats, it's usually, even for people like us who are not Mets fans, it's still highly enjoyable. So seems like that was a very, very cool day. I know that game did not end up going awesome as the Mets rally in the ninth, ends up falling just short. Juan Soto misses I think a game tying homer by just a couple feet. And they had a great shot on the broadcast of David Wright reacting to that near home run. But ultimately the Reds do take this series. Good for David Peterson, who has just been such a stabilizing force who delivers them another quality start on Sunday. Diaz kind of choked it away in the 8th, but they did come back and score in the 8th, and then Ryan Stanton closed it out. So Mets do finish the weekend on a good note. Francisco Alvarez is coming back up. I am interested in that. He is certainly among the Mets young players. He's had a very strange up and down season. Obviously, it's literally down because he's been down in AAA for a while now, and then we thought that he was going to be someone that was going to be maybe ascending as one of the next great catchers in the sport, and that seemed to be interrupted. We'll see what he can do for them moving forward as they continue to kind of look for more of an offensive spark. And then finally, because obviously we care about this, Pablo Sanchez made an appearance. The legend of backyard sports. This was in large inflatable form on the field before the game. Backyard Sports, who has, of course, has surged back into our life in wonderful fashion as they have, the company has kind of revived this franchise that means so much to people our age. And they had a giant Pablo Sanchez just on the field at Citi Field, and then the Mets won, and maybe Pablo Sanchez saved the season. Listen, I'd be way more in favor of this than nothing personal against Grimace or whatever, but this carries a lot more weight with me.
Yeah.
I can imagine this is going to get me a lot more invested if this does end up being true.
On Saturday, by the way, we thought that they were going to retire Wright and then give Lindor the captaincy. That's not how it went down, making that video very confusing in retrospect that we talked about on Friday. Also, Francisco Lindor went 0 for 5 in that game, and then the Mets fans booed. Why are we booing? I can't believe the Mets have entered boo territory here.
I absolutely can. But anyway, all right. That is
booing on
we are
David
going to take a
Wright
break.
retirement day is wild, dude.
Did David Wright ever get booed? That's a genuine question. I don't know when or why he would have. At what stage it would have made any sense to boo him.
Judge got booed.
I know, but Judge has done some striking out in some pretty big spots. I don't know if you remember. So David Wright has not been in that many postseason games, and a lot of those games with the Mets were not anywhere near the playoffs. So let me know, Mets fans, if you've booed David Wright, I doubt you're listening to this podcast. That said, if you've
email
heard
us,
David
let us know
Wright
why.
being booed, let us know. baseballbarbecast@gmail.com. All right, we're going to take a break. When we return, Turbo Time. We'll be right back.
And welcome back to Baseball Barbecast. Let's go fast.
Faster than fast, quicker than quick. I am lightning.
I feel the need for speed.
It's turbo time.
Angels taking 2 out of 3 over the Phillies. Game 1, Schwarber goes yard for his 31st, but Jesus Luzardo is not good. 2 homers from Bryce Harper do not get the job done. Joe Adell, Taylor Ward, Jorge Soler all go yard, and the Angels take that one 6-5. Both starters are bad on Saturday. Kind of a weird, messy game. Schwarber grand slam, bottom 6. Phillies win that one 9-5. Schwarber hitting the 3 home runs during the swing off in the All-Star game and then homering in his first 2 games back is just absolutely perfect. But the Angels take the series with a win on Sunday, beating Rangers Suarez, who had his first bad start in a long time. Odd series for the Phillies. The Angels are coming to New York. They'll play the Mets this week. I will have eyes on them. They're only 1 game under 500, 4 games back in the wild card with a negative 59 run differential. But don't think too hard about that. The Phillies, meanwhile, signed David Robertson to a $16 million prorated deal. It's going to end up being like $6-ish million. Very interesting. What has David Robertson been doing for the first couple months of this year? It is funny to me that he is now the Roger Clemens who shows up in the middle of the season and says, actually, I want to keep playing. Will someone sign me? Teams need bullpen help. It makes sense. The $6 million he got might be more than what he would have gotten over the winter. I know you kept banging the table and saying, why is no one signing David Robertson? He was amazing last year for the Rangers.
Yeah, I mean, what he's been doing, he's been, I guess, waiting for someone to pay him $16 million prorated. But just to remind people, he had a 3 ERA and 72 innings with the Rangers last year, 99 strikeouts, only 53 hits allowed. So again, when he's 40, so It's possible that he's not as good as he was a year ago because, aging curve, et cetera, but clearly the Phillies are trying to fix their bullpen before they have to start trading guys away to do so, although I imagine they are still going to have to do that. Let's go to Seattle, where the Mariners took 2 out of 3 over the Houston Astros. Luis Castillo was great on Friday. Randy Arozarena hits his 18th homer. Lance McCullers was not good on Saturday. He was a bit of a mess. This game was truly the Mariners are good for a couple of these a year where just a totally goofy, nonsensical extra innings victory. This one included one of the dumber plays of the year where Dylan Moore, the ball hits the knob of his bat. He looks like he got hit by a pitch. The ball goes in play. They say it's fair. Cal Raleigh scampers home to tie the game. Nobody knows what's going on, but ultimately, about half an hour later, Cole Young walks it off, the rookie, with a walk-off single in the bottom of the 11th. Mariners win 7-6. They go for the sweep on Sunday and are unable to do so as Brian Wu runs out of gas in the middle innings. And then the Astros pile on the Mariners bullpen. 13 hits for Houston. Astros win 11-3. Jake Mintz, the Houston Astros have 16 players on the injured list, including 9 hitters. Nobody else has more than 4 hitters on the injured list, and that is the Orioles, who have 6. So the Astros are as banged up as you're going to see any team. They don't win this series, but they still have a 4-game lead over Seattle. So good weekend for Seattle, but also a missed opportunity.
Let's keep it in Texas, where the Rangers took 2 out of 3 over the Tigers. The Rangers are kind of like the American League Diamondbacks, appropriate considering these two teams played in the World Series against one another in 2023. The Rangers came out playing well from the break. They win game 1 and game 2 behind 2 good starts from Patrick Corbin and Kumar Rocker, 2 very different pitchers and people who ended up in the same rotation at the same time. It's one of those hilarious moments in baseball history where these overlapping eras, and in 10 years we'll be like, remember when Kumar Rocker was on the 2025 Rangers with Patrick Corbin? That's nuts. Game 3, Tarek Skubal, Sunday Night Baseball. He was unbelievable. Got into some trouble in the 7th inning, pitched out of it. They came in and got him. Wild pitcher pass ball, game tied at 1. Matt Vierling, go ahead RBI single on the top of the 8th. Good for Matt Vierling. He's had a very weird, rough year with the Tigers, just with some injuries and inconsistency. Good to see him get a big moment on Sunday Night Baseball. That stopped a L6 for the Tigers, who I believe still have the best record in baseball. One bad thing from the Sunday Night Baseball experience was some of the folks on the broadcast who kept talking about how good Tarek Skubal would look in various shades of New York pinstripe. Cameron Maben, who was not on the broadcast to be fair, but was tweeting about how he'd be perfect in the Bronx. These good players are not future Yankees, everyone. Even when you say, I'm not saying, I'm just saying, you're still just saying, right? And I know that people eat the stuff up, and maybe I'm giving too much fuel to the fire. Just let Tarek Skubal be amazing on the Tigers for now, and we can worry about it all later.
Yeah, the team that has the best record in baseball, is he allowed to be good for that team? I feel like that's probably okay. Yep. We're not just talking about some dude slumming it on some crap team. Tigers are doing just fine. Let's go to the nation's capital, where the Padres take 2 out of 3 over the Nationals. Dylan Cease was fantastic on Friday. C.J. Abrams' dramatic homer late off Jason Adam, but then Kyle Finnegan, who pitches every game. Doesn't matter that Davey Martinez is gone because his friend Miguel Cairo is still running him out there in every possible situation. Manny Machado hits a grand slam. Padres win on Friday. Mitchell Parker outduels Yu Darvish on Saturday as the Nationals win that one, but Nick Pivetta dominates on Sunday. Mackenzie Gore, worst start of the year, 8 earned runs for him. And Xander Bogaerts, who is quietly hitting quite well over the last month, he hits a grand slam. Padres win 8-1. Xander Bogaerts, you have my attention. This is nice to see. Again, this is still not a contract I would necessarily be signing up for, but this is good. I'm glad him suddenly just being not even close to a good hitter still has perplexed me, and it's nice to see that he has gotten back to above average levels of production.
Rays taking 2 out of 3 over the Orioles at the Stein. So I had people over at my house on Saturday, Jordan, as something of a going away party. I am leaving New York City next week. We had, I think, like 20 people upstairs on the roof. I had the game on. People started filing out around like 8 o'clock ish. And I was up there cleaning by myself and was about to head downstairs. And I realized, you know what? I'm going to watch the end of the Orioles season. And I tuned into the game on Saturday where they were down a run. Down 2 runs in the 9th. They put one across. Jackson Holiday cranks one to the warning track to end the game, 4-3. Rays win. The Orioles do bounce back to win on Sunday. Trevor Rogers is good again. I don't think the Orioles are going to trade him. I think that they want to hang on to him for next season because they need as much pitching as they can get. As Grayson Rodriguez is hurt again. He has not pitched yet this year. He still has some elbow discomfort, which is in the same spot that he had during spring training. Feels like he should probably just get surgery, and the Orioles are being weird about surgery again, which is what they did with Felix Bautista before he went and got it. We're hoping everything's good with G-Rod, one of our favorite dudes. It's just been an odd season for him, and the way that they've handled it is a little weird.
Yep, I agree. The Orioles are coming to Cleveland for 4 this week. What do the Guardians do? They won 2 out of 3 over the A's. Slade Ciccone, how about this line on Friday? 8 1/3, 8 hits, 6 runs, no walks, 2 strikeouts. Stephen Vogt was craving an old school pitcher line there, just leaving him out there. Go finish this one for us, my big man. No, that's not what happened. A's made it interesting. Guardians win that one 8-6. Luis Severino notches his first road victory of the year on Saturday. It's a big game from Nick Kurtz, who I will talk about momentarily. A's win 8-2. But then on Sunday, Gavin Williams, who has delivered some of the more dominant starts for the Guardians all season, he strikes out 11 in 7 innings. Angel Martinez has a big game. Guardians win 8-2. One quick thing on Cleveland, one quick thing on the A's. Quick thing on Cleveland is that Stephen Kwan is nursing a wrist injury. He went to the All-Star game because he wanted to and the team wanted him to, and he played in it, and he gave us the swing off. God bless him, putting that ball in play against Edwin Diaz. So let's all appreciate Stephen Kwan playing through a minor wrist injury to give us that special moment. But that is keeping him out of the lineup right now. It doesn't seem too serious, but again, because the Guardians' offense is as bad as it is, any game that does not have Stephen Kwan is not a good one. Fortunately, they were facing an A's pitching staff, which the big picture thought on the A's right now is that their hitting impresses me more and more every week, and their pitching depresses me more and more every week. And I don't know when this is going to balance out. But on the positive side, Mr. Nick Kurtz is an absolute monster. He had another huge weekend in Cleveland, which is good to see because a lot of his production has come at home in Sacramento so far. But just as we're ready to just hand Jacob Wilson the Rookie of the Year trophy, and I know Cam Smith's having a great season too for Houston, Kurtz is up to 18 homers with a late start. And I believe he has the highest slugging percentage in baseball, not named Aaron Judge, over the last month and a half. He is just an absolute monster. How quickly he has been able to become essentially just what he was at Wake Forest. Now he's striking out way more, but he's still walking, and the power for him is spectacular. He is one hell of a find for him, who signed his pro contract, I think, exactly a year ago tomorrow, and he is already one of the best power hitters in the American League. So A's still not a very good baseball team, but they got some boppers for sure.
Speaking of bad teams with boppers, the Marlins took 2 out of 3 over the Royals, winning 8-7 on Friday, winning 3-1 on Saturday, unable to pull off the sweep on Sunday as Chris Bubich played stopper in the final one. Jansen Junk gets knocked around in that one. He's been great for Miami, but Kyle Stowers has a 942 OPS. So there you go.
Kyle Stowers
walk-off homer.
3 homer games Sunday, goes to the All-Star game, homers in the swing-off, 2 more homers on Friday with the walk-off homer off of Estevez. Man, oh man, they have really found something in Kyle Stowers.
Estevez punch him out in the All-Star game?
Yeah, he definitely got him out. I know
and
they
then he
faced
was
each
like,
other, so good little bit of
He
revenge.
did.
And by the way, also nice for Miami because Connor Norby, the other guy they got back from Trevor Rogers, is out for a while. I think he had some wrist surgery. I don't know. He's out for a while. So to see Kyle Stowers doing it, he is spectacular. All right, one more series. Come on. We should have given them more love. The Colorado Rockies won a series just for the third time. They take 2 out of 3 over the Minnesota Twins, who are just not very good. Kyle Freeland.
Bad place. Bad team.
Good
bad
on
place.
Friday. Yeah, my gosh. Senzatella. Oh, boy. 7 innings for the Rockies. That's why I was going to drop that Brewers stat from earlier. Just the 4th time the Rockies have gotten a start of 7 innings from one of their starters this year, which is tied for the second fewest in baseball with the Marlins. And yeah, the Brewers have only had 3. Joe Ryan, though, he plays stopper on Sunday, 11 strikeouts in 7 innings. Herman Marquez, no bueno. Twins hit 4 homers, and they win 7-1. And yes, only the 3rd Rockies series win of the season, their first home series win of the season, which is incredible. So yes, they have lost 29 series, but they have now won 3. So congratulations to the Rockies. And yeah, every again, that is important as they try and not lose the most games in baseball history. Series wins are going to be very important. Every win is a huge dub. So as for Minnesota, yikes, just not happening. Not happening for the Twinkies. So sorry to say, but congrats to the Rockies on a wonderful weekend in Colorado.
And congrats to Daniel Bard on a heck of a career. The former Rocky, former Red Sox, hangs them up. One of my favorite stories over the last couple decades in baseball was Daniel Bard's battle past the yips. For those of you who don't know, the yips are I don't even know how to describe them. Basically, when you have the yips, you just can't throw the baseball where you want it to go. And for Daniel Bard, who was one of the best relievers in the world for a couple of years in like 2010 and 2011, I mean, he in 2010 as a 25-year-old, he had a 193 in 74 innings for the Red Sox. Like, he was just unbelievable. Then he just forgets where the ball's going. He can't throw strikes. And this basically continues from 2012 through like 2017. He retires in 2017, goes to work for the Diamondbacks. He's playing catch one day while he's working for the Diamondbacks, and it's coming out good. He gives it another go, gets back up with the Rockies, and gets MVP votes in 2022, is on the WBC team, gets a big contract, like has this beautiful second wind. 2022, 60 innings, 1.79 ERA. Like, what a thing. Couldn't be happier for Daniel Bard. We saw him at the bottom, man. Remember that?
We sure did.
We saw him pitch for I believe at the time, the low A Hickory Crawdads, and I want to say he did not get an out and faced 5 batters and allowed 1 hit, walked 3 and hit 1. Like, it was bad.
Yeah, that was at the very, very, very beginning of his issues. And the fact that he would then endure them for another 3 years before giving up and then making it back all those years later. He was even pitching in AAA with the Mariners this season. Was up to 95 and was getting results, but seems like he was not going to get called up anytime soon, and he decided to call it a career. So I'm sure he will have a place in baseball in some sort of coaching role if he wants it, and I look forward to seeing Daniel Bard at some point down the road and telling him how awesome his story is, because yeah, we did see him at the bottom there in Hickory in 2014, and it's a hell of a story. So happy trails, Daniel Bard. We wish you the best on whatever comes next.
That's it. Wrap it up.
We did a podcast. Thank you all for listening. baseballbarbacast@gmail.com. Thank you to TJ Brassel and Andrew Hartz for producing as always. We'll be back on Wednesday. Will the Brewers keep on winning? Stay tuned if you can stay awake. 9:40 p.m. Eastern, first pitch. Mizorowski, Gilbert, Woodruff, Kirby. Lock in, folks. The Brew Crew are hot. Talk to you on Wednesday.